Hello, or 大家好, as people say here in Taiwan. My name is Peter Williams, and I'm married to Miriam Williams, and we have one 3-month-old daughter, Annabelle. Um, we live in Taipei, and Rod's asked me to record this video because you guys are going to spend the evening praying for us. I mean, thank you so much. It's such a blessing to have this opportunity just to share our story and some prayer requests, and knowing that you're going to carry those things before God in prayer. We are really grateful and really excited what God might do or say through your guys' prayers. So thank you ever so much, for taking the time to do this. It's a real pleasure to be able to record this video. So just to give you a quick explanation of how we got here, my wife Miriam felt called to Chinese peoples when she was a teenager at Stony Bible Week. So she studied Mandarin at university. Through that, she came to Taiwan. She made some great friends. So she came back most years since then. So that was nearly 20 years ago maybe that God first spoke to her. So she's been pursuing this for a while. I had a real heart for cross-cultural church planting. So in my 20s, I spent a year or so in Kenya, kind of exploring that. Got to see some of the stuff that New Frontiers Kenya through Edward Boria was doing, which was fantastic, so inspiring. And I came back to Bishop Stortford kind of with that passion, that desire in my heart, having seen that just really kindled that fire. And then shortly after that, me and Miriam met, and as we were kind of getting to know each other and starting out married life, God just kept speaking to us about having adventures for us in different cultures, having plans and purposes for us, moving us to a different kind of nation culture. And so as we started out married life, we were kind of saying, God, like, okay, we hear you, what are you saying? Like, how do we respond to this? And so Maurice Nightingale actually met with us and helped us to kind of think through how we could respond to that. And the kind of obvious first step was for me to come and visit Taiwan, because Mim's existing relationships and all her investment in language and stuff like that. So in 2016, we came here on holiday, kind of on holiday, but also kind of saying, God, we're open if you want to say something. And I felt God really speak to me. We both felt God speak to us, but I think particularly for me, I felt God speak to me about learning Mandarin and also calling us to move to Taiwan. So that was great. We went back to the UK. We talked it through again with some people in our church and people in RM, and their kind of advice was, look, just go. Felt like God was calling us to go as soon as we could. So we went the next summer 29, sorry, not 19, 17. We moved here to Taipei, into this house actually, and so I started learning Mandarin because that's what I felt God had called me to do, what He'd spoken to me about. So I spent the last 2 years learning Mandarin. Tough language, Rod will tell you. I'm sure Rod will have some great stories about how different Mandarin is to English, but it's been good fun. I had to make a decision to enjoy this, but having done that, I think it has been good fun. And it's the feeling of when you actually have a conversation, able to communicate and listen with someone in Mandarin is fantastic. It's, wow, I'm doing it. It's great. But while I've been doing that, Mim's been working in a local secondary school teaching English. She did start off teaching Mandarin actually, which, I mean, her Mandarin is good, but it was a real challenge for her. So she stopped doing that because it took a lot of time. And the native speakers, there's just so many things that native speakers do naturally, which native speaking and teaching a language is just at another level to someone who's learned it as their second language. Anyway, so Mim was teaching there, and this school was a Christian school, which was great. So early this year, last sort of before the summer, I was invited in to run an Alpha course there with some of the older students, which was great. And in the end, I was able to pray with 2 people to invite Jesus into their life for the first time, which was just a real blessing. And yeah, that was great. So that then we so those are the first 2 years here, which came to an end this summer. Now we obviously had a baby in July, and so at the beginning of this year, January 2019, we knew that Mim was pregnant, found out Mim was pregnant. So we were kind of planning and thinking about what the year was going to look like, and really we had 2 main goals: have baby, and then to transfer jobs. So I had been studying full time, I was going to start working pretty much full time, teaching English, which I'm now doing. and we wanted to transfer kind of like our financial kind of wanted me to earn and support the family, also have visas and health insurance based on my job, which were previously based on Mim's job. So we wanted to transfer that over before baby came. And so that's kind of where we're at the beginning of this year. And then in February, God spoke to us through a dream that I had, in which I felt like He was calling us to be involved in a church plant in Taipei this year. Not on our radar, didn't seem to fit with what we were planning to do, really. So I woke up from this dream and talking to him about it that same morning. We both felt the same, kind of like, well, God can do it, but we don't see how He can do how that's going to work. Same morning, I turned my phone on, and basically, while I'd been asleep having this dream, someone in the UK had heard about a church plant that was happening in Taipei, and this church plant had come from the US, and they had the church that they were coming from in the US had strong kind of relational links with New Frontiers USA. So I clicked on their website because they sent me their website and the message as well, and the website had the pretty much same wording as I felt God was saying through the dream. So that was pretty cool. We processed that and realised that, hey, I think God's calling us to move to this church, move churches. So in the last 6 months, we've had quite a bit of transition, really. We've Mim's stopped working and started looking after Annabelle, and obviously given birth for the first time, all in our second language, in Mandarin, which was just funny at times, but, good. God's been really kind to us. Relatively straightforward, all things considering. So that was Mim's stopped working, given birth, and now looking after Annabelle full time. I've finished off my study and started working teaching English, and I've kind of I'd never taught English before, so I'm kind of learning how to do the job and trying to build up the hours so that I was earning enough money to support us. But we kind of feel like we got there now. I'm still learning, still got lots to learn, but kind of at a sustainable level, which is good. And also moved church, so. And the Roots Church, which is the church we moved to, have been really welcoming, really kind, really generous. So that's been great, and God's just been really kind to us through this transition season. Feels like a real change of season, actually. Feels like we've kind of changed season, and it's a new season now. And so we're still exploring, I guess, what we feel like God's calling us to do here. Well, what God is calling us to do. I think we're waiting for God to make it clear before we try and do something kind of on our own steam, if that makes sense. So we're still exploring. God has called us here. Like God's called us, and He's recently called us to move to this church, but we don't know why. Kind of in a detailed way, what has God called us here to do? We don't actually feel like we've got clarity on that. So maybe that's a prayer request. But we're just quite content for this up until this summer 2020. We're quite content to wait on God with that and not know. We're at peace with that, and that's because we feel like this season, this year, is about just establishing ourselves as a family in Taiwan, in Taipei. So that would be our first prayer request, really, that God would give us grace and wisdom to do that well, for us to be parents, for me to do my new job, for us to for all the stuff that's involved in being parents and doing it in a different culture on the other side of the world from our families, our extended families, and all that kind of stuff. Just to do all that well and learn how to have fun here and enjoy life and getting good rhythms, all that kind of stuff. So that would be our first prayer request, really, that God would establish us as a family here in Taiwan. Secondly, relationships. So there's two aspects to this one. We want great relationships in the new church. Still feel like we're getting to know them. We spent 2 years in essentially a Taiwanese church, although they had an American leader. It was a Taiwanese church. And so we got used to Taiwanese culture, Taiwanese way of doing things. Everybody pretty much spoke Mandarin as their first language. And now we've moved to this other church, which is a great church, and they're great people, and they're from a whole different mix of backgrounds, but it's very American. And so we feel like we've got culture shock all over again because we've come from a Taiwanese church to an American church. So, and we're obviously English. So, but grace to build relationships there, to find our place in the Roots Church, and just build relationships, and maybe God would give us clarity as well on why He's called us to that church and what He wants us to do there. And then the second aspect of the relationships thing is we'd love to have kind of just a group of Mandarin-speaking Taiwanese non-Christian friends, kind of a gospel a group that maybe we could have friendship with, and that we might be able to share our faith in as well. And in Mandarin, but that we can do in Mandarin. We'd love to have just a purely Mandarin-speaking friendship group. Kind of, we've lost that moving to this American. It's not an American, just an American church, but moving to this new church, we kind of lost that. So, I think we would love to have a context where we've got just Mandarin friends, maybe aren't Christian, that we can build a relationship with and just hopefully share the gospel with and witness to, and that kind of thing. So that's the two aspects of relationship with the church, and then with some Mandarin-speaking non-Christians, and then. Thirdly, just for our language. So Mim she's fluent. There's different ways that you can evaluate fluency and definitions and stuff, but she's been learning Mandarin for 12 years, so she's pretty strong Mandarin. But she feels like it's gone backwards in the last few months. Having a baby, she's kind of in a different. She's not around Mandarin speakers like she used to be when she was working, and so. Just for her to have, I guess friends would really help with that. Just opportunities every day to just keep practicing her Mandarin and keep connecting with Mandarin speakers would be great. For me, I've been learning Mandarin for 2 years. I can get by. I'm an intermediate level, HSK4, if anyone knows what that means. But I'm started trying to learn some more Christian language so that I can share my faith, essentially. I want to be able to share my faith. Well, that's my goal for this year, I think. And so I'd love... ultimately, one day I'd love to preach in Mandarin. That might take a bit longer, but that's kind of where we're going. And I'd love prayers for my Mandarin language, well, for both of our Mandarin language, that we both continue to improve, particularly, I guess, in the spiritual side of the language. So being able to share our faith, and that God would use that so that we have opportunities to share our faith with Taiwanese people would be awesome. So, yeah, thank you so much for your taking time out to pray. Really appreciate it. Look forward to hearing back, and yeah, thank you so much. Bless you guys. Bye bye for now.